To be in this situation, you're still, our playoff aspirations are still alive, and like you said, we control our own destiny, and we're in our home court, and it's just us about just going out and really playing how we have the last two games. We've been a little bit inconsistent, but I think we found a really good rotation, and just keep believing.
You talk about how you don't get too high or too low, even though the stakes are high. How do you keep the players that way from not getting too high or too low?
Yeah, what you see is what you get. I'm pretty, that doesn't mean I'm not focused. It just means then I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to get rattled. I think the calmer I can be, the calmer they can be. And I try and resonate give them a lot of confidence just with my self-belief and the belief in them as a team.
And you all have had these back-to-backs against the same team multiple times this season. How can you pull from that for this afternoon?
Well, what we can't do is we won a game, but we know one game to the next can be totally different. You look back to LA, it's something we can, learn from. It's going to be a battle. Atlanta's not going to obviously roll over for us. We're going to have to go out there and win it by playing a really good game against a really good team that can be very dangerous on their day. So about scout execution and continue to play tough and play together.
Coach, you mentioned the rotation being kind of solidified the last couple of games. Is there anything that might be different here today? Is it based on the matchups again? Similar to Friday, should we expect in terms of rotation?
Yeah, look, I would imagine. I think Crystal Dangerfield does a great job on McDonald. So we try and match that, and it's always hard in the beginning because she doesn't start. It just means her minutes have to go up a little bit. But, still stay in our rotations early, and hopefully we can be effective, and then second half go with what we think is going to help us win.
Are there any correctable things that you could take from Friday where I know you guys let up and they were able to come back? Is there anything in that time period that you could say, hey, if we shore this up, we're going to be that much better in today's game?
We can't play with the lead. We want to continue the pace. I think we try to, okay, we're up by 15 now. You got to still play basketball, push the pace, but then, good to great, what we spoke about all season long. And, I think down the stretch was about turnovers and just, decision making, and they scored in transition and get into the basket. We've got to have foul discipline there, but let's have, good execution on the offensive end.
One more for me. You guys started 1-7. How gratifying is it to get here right now where you can control your own destiny and make the playoffs here today?
Yeah, I think it's about growth. I see about growth. We faced a ton of adversity, probably the most I've ever experienced as a WNBA coach, and I've had a lot of adversity. But I suppose when you lose one of your best players early, that takes an adjustment period, and Benija is an all-star, and she was really big for us the last game. We're getting some good rhythm here, but I just see growth. I feel like even when we were losing, we were seeing growth or kind of understanding how we want to play. And that will hold us in good stead as we move forward as well. But hopefully we can continue after today.
Okay, we'll go Miles.
Hey, Sandy. I got a couple for you. Last game, Atlanta grabbed 9 offensive rebounds. With a team that slashes so much, which forces the posts a lot of times to help, how can you make adjustments to limit their second chance opportunities?
Yeah, look, I think it's more about a 5-player defense. It's the congestion behind the ball. I think for the most part we did a good job there. I think it was the step-ups that really hurt us and putting obviously Steph and Hani in those kind of actions. But we've got to trust the defense behind the ball and just have discipline. And not get out of position that we can't block out. Billings, that's what she does. Hillman, that's what she does. So, we've spoken about it, and it's making sure there's body, and, we can't get offensive rebounds off a free throw. So we've spoken about that too. So it shouldn't happen today.
Great. And in the fourth quarter last game, when Atlanta made their push, the team defense was able to keep them at arm's length, not closer than 7. There were some key stops down the stretch. Earlier in the season, that wasn't, whenever there was a lapse on offense, that would carry over to the defense. Was that a big growth point that you saw?
Yeah, a big time. It's knowing how to win. I think this is a team that's lacked. It's that confidence when things aren't going well. What are we going to do? Well, we got to dig deeper. We got to stay together. We got to play harder. And I thought we played way harder on defense, but 5 players. You saw Sabrina be able to defend McDonald one-on-one, but bringing a lot of activity there and getting stops when we needed it. But we were our worst enemy with the silly turnovers that we did. We know they're going to trap sub and shorten passes. We just got to have a little bit of discipline there and a lot of spacing still be confident. It's like, oh, I don't want to shoot the ball. It's like, okay, if it's not sub, someone still has to try and get in there and shoot the ball and relax, not get tense, because if you start thinking about it, you're going to miss anyway.
Jackie?
Hey Sandy, I just wanted to build off of Zora's comment about, or question rather, about being too high or too low. Can you take me through how you can tell if players or a team is too high or too low? What do you usually see and hear? And what have you seen and heard from this group since Friday?
Yeah, look, I mean, I suppose I've been around for a long, long time, not just, as a player as well, and you learn so much about what teams, how it works. And but for me, I always tell, everybody's like, be who you are. Why am I going to change who I am? That doesn't mean I'm, even if I have a little bit of anxiousness, I'm not going to project it to the team. But I feel confident in what we're doing. But I still know we need to play a really good basketball game. And, I try and, like I said, I kind of, that's how you build relationships when you first get to a team, and you kind of know what makes them tick. I think that's an important part of leadership. What do they need? Some of them are very focused. Some of them need a little bit of laughter. Just let them be. But making sure in the game, if I need to get on them, I certainly do. And it gets their attention, but maintaining, confidence more than anything.
I really appreciate that. And also, going into this season, you talked about establishing the habits that yield to or create sustainable success. And so I'm curious as to what type of habits you feel like you and your staff have successfully established on this team this year.
Yeah, look, I think we've been a pretty solid defensive team as it's built up. It's 5 players and buying in. I mean, that's just hard work, but all players buying into the what we want to do, scout execution. Making that an importance for us, knowing, know your personnel, but know where your help is and helping each other. There's reads. When something's new, I think last year, I think they say that they had a very basic system, but ours is not so basic, so it involves a lot of movement and reads, and there's rules, and principles of play. And I think it just takes time to get it, everyone's, I think it just, the teams like Seattle, you see how continuity certainly helps them, but I think we've grown a lot on the defensive end, and, offensively, we've been up and down. I think last game it was good because we got points in the paint. And that was crystal, and we're a good 3-point shooting team, but you still need that inside-outside attack to be the most effective and selfless basketball. And I think the second half of our season, we have high assists, which means we're playing together a little bit better.
Hi Sandy. Over the past couple games and throughout August, the team has gone to the basket more often and had more success at the rim. What do you think has been the key to that success in August?
I think it's a bit about everything. It's about spacing. That's critical. Cutting, the appropriate cutting. So we had to teach a lot of that, like when to cut, when not to cut, and creating space so we can penetrate a little bit, and then just having an aggressive mindset. If we can, how can we exploit someone going underneath us? How can we exploit someone switching us? I think we just get better, and it's not just one person; it's the team understanding how the next person besides them plays. So, who should be cutting? Who shouldn't be cutting?
Thank you. And last game, in pregame, you mentioned you wanted to keep Ryan Howard out of the paint and away from the rim, and you guys only had her take one heavily contested shot at the rim. What do you think will be the key again to sort of keeping her on the perimeter and forcing her into difficult, highly contested shots?
Plan in her space as much as you can, because we don't want to give them threes anyway, or either. It's just making sure she's shooting contested shots, and if she gets into the paint, it's contesting without fouling. She's been getting to the foul line much better these last few games, and it's just showing her a crowd. And I thought we did a good job for the most part, but we're going to have to do it again because this is a tough kid, and she's going to get better and better. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Coach, and thank you all for joining. We'll send a copy of the recording shortly.